Guys, welcome back to the Iris Pod. And today is a very, very exciting guest, Mike Sponza, founder of M-Cube. And M-Cube is, tell us about it, Mike.
Well, M-Cube is a company that started its life about 21 years ago in Italy with three partners. I'm one of the three partners. And we started with the so-called in-store radio services. So developing and supplying clients with the background music, not only contents, but also all the technological equipments that we need to transmit music from a server to a store, different stores, different contents. So we started facing, 21 years ago, all the problems connected with connections, internet connection, the speed of transferring files from the server to the store. It's been a very long process, especially in Italy, because 21 years ago, the lines were really primitive. And then finally, after a few years, when all the technical troubles and also the expectation from clients developed through the years, we could focus more on content. So we don't think about technological problems now. We think only about, finally, about contents. So the right music for the right store, for the right clients.
So let's go to the store. Let's talk about space.
Yeah.
As a company, we have various technologies, various software that's all about audio and the beauty of different forms of audio and taking you back to the space where that audio was created. What's the relationship between audio and spaces? Because that's essentially a core part of what your proposition is for your clients.
Yes. Let's put it this way. When we started, and I was doing, because we started in our area, geographical area. So me and my partner used to go by car and do the installations ourselves. And what we will find 20 years ago was audio systems extremely primitive in the stores. Just to make an example, you have a store with 2 floors and they wire the amplifier with the speakers, not even considering right or left. Yeah. So one floor had the right channel and the second floor had the left channel. So some songs you could only hear drums and bass and back vocals in one floor and the rest of the instrumentation above. So it was really a big issue for us. That's why we developed our players with a mono output, because you never know what you can find around the world. No, you never know the level of technological approach of a store, let's say in Italy, but maybe in Germany or France or Belgium or Spain, Southern America. You never know what you can find. So our output is in mono. And then the problem of spatialization in the stores, it's a problem that we cannot face because, again, we don't know what amplifiers they have, how many speakers do they have, because usually they use speakers of 12 inches for an area of 70 square meters. So if you are like just under the speaker, if they're on the floor, you hear something. But if you move 2 meters, 3 meters away, it changes completely, no? And all the sounds, it's polluted by the cash registers or frigidairs, or in a fashion store, but people talking, especially women talking, we know that.
Are we allowed to say that? Yeah.
Sorry?
We're allowed to say that?
I'm Italian.
We're banned from making such accusations in London.
No, I'm joking. But there are a lot of background noises now that affect our artistical choices. So we could start with the most artistic and creative point of view from our side, but when the music goes into a store, into a shop or into a car dealer, it changed completely.
As a creator of music, not just an installer of some sort of solution for background atmosphere, it, I can only imagine this experience when you walk in somewhere and you look around and they've got these NAF speakers and you're just like, ugh,
Yes.
how can I make something sound good in this space? How has it evolved over time then? So you started 21 years ago. Now, do you find that the clients that you're working with are much more tuned into the idea that they have to invest in the tech?
Yes, they invest in technique. They invest in quality of amplifiers and loudspeakers. And I've seen that from starting from a chain of supermarket in Italy. They started investing a huge amount of money with huge amplifiers controlled by the headquarters. So the director of the store has no access to volume and tone and nothing. Everything is made by headquarters. You're talking about 15 years ago. So it was really, and now we see that architects, when they are starting to develop a new concept for the stores, they think about the music. It happened once that I had a client, they had do-it-yourself stores, no, bricolage, and the store was 180 square meters, and they had 180 speakers. Huge amount, because the architect didn't know what to do. No, maybe, I don't know. So now they pay a lot of attention to that, quality, quality, and quality. For instance, they install subwoofers. That few years ago, nobody was interested in installing a subwoofer. But if you are a fashion shop, with the young people inside, they are used to listen to the music with a certain amount of bass frequencies, no? And also the music is made like that. Because if you're listening to trap, rap, and R&B and modern R&B, it's all about the bass.
Yeah, you need that. It's all about the bass. Exactly. Changing it to the creative side then. So you're working with brands to really extend their storytelling through audio and visual. Do you think that that's something that brands now have as a core part of their identity? I imagine before, 20 years ago or so, well, fashion brands, yes. Everyone else, it was more like just need some background music.
No, they didn't even know it was possible. No.
Right. Okay.
We had a service in the 60s and 50s in Italy. It was called how can I say? Well, it was kind of cable radio, no, and also rich people had them in the living room, no, and you could have a small player on the wall connected with a telephone, and you could listen to 5 different channels of music.
Really?
In the 40s.
Oh wow.
In the 40s. And it started, the first thing was starting in Switzerland, because they couldn't have, because of the mountain, they couldn't have the traditional FM radio or shortwave radio. So they started developing this, no? Putting the music.
Rudimentary internet type. Yeah.
Kind of, but using telephone lines.
Wow.
80 years ago. Amazing.
That's streaming.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So brands are starting to think more about this, and I think maybe brands have already for many years had that sonic ID as part of their lockup brand logo, whatever. Like McDonald's is obviously one that comes to mind where that tune is synonymous. But do you see more brands thinking about this multi-channel approach in store, online, on advertising?
Absolutely. And music is really a central piece of the retail formula, absolutely, today. Because it's a part of how do you translate the brand in different languages, no? It's not a marketing language. So my goal is to translate the identity of a brand into musical propositions. So we analyze and we rebuild, we do a reverse engineering of the marketing research into a musical language, which is not rocket science, it's still subjective, but people, even though they are using a lot of music during the day, everybody is an expert, like soccer, everybody is an expert of something. Still now they ask us to do something. And what we do is a game, because we force the creative process to obtain a good level. And sometimes our creative approach is absolutely far away from the expectation of the clients, because at the end they finally make the selection of good music, but not so, can I say, not so overdriven, to creative atmosphere. Definitely make an example. No, we are working with the brand, with the car brand, luxury car brand, and each car has particular names, not numbers or letters, names, like Silver Shadow or Azure. It's not Rolls-Royce, it's not Bentley, but it's another brand. So what we found is to analyze the name of the cars and to find music connected to the choice of that name. No, so if you say my car is called Azure, I think about the south of France, and that gives me a huge selection of music, because I go back to the 60s, and then I found artists today, they are proposing that kind of Dolce Vita music. No, so you make a selection, very creative on one side, but then you know that the client, a lot of people think too many drivers at the wheel,
too many cooks.
Yeah. And they will say, can we have some lounge music at the end? No, with the word lounge, it means nothing and everything at the same time. No,
it's like lift music, back in the day. Like you just have that kind of background.
Yeah. Elevator music. You think about that.
Yeah.
But you know how this started with elevator music?
No.
Well, it's a very, very interesting story. It's about 100 years ago. They found a way to connect a phonograph to the telephone in the elevators of New York.
Really?
Because people were getting nervous because they were very slow and dangerous.
Calming people down as they traveled.
But because of copyright problems, they couldn't use the original recording. So I take the song and I make my own recording.
Really?
And they become elevator music, music as they call it.
Music, yeah. I'm going to talk to you about copyright a bit more. You touched on something a second ago, which I want to dig into. So if you could propose something to a brand, and I think I know what your answer is going to be, visual or audio, you can only pick one.
Wow.
You can only pick one. You're going to go with the visual identity and develop that, or you're going to go with...
I will as a partner of the company, I will select the video because it's much more expensive for the client, of
but
course.
From a memory recall perspective?
Oh, well, I would say perfume.
Really? Okay.
So I don't answer.
But that's an interesting answer.
Yeah.
Because it's multi-sensory.
The most direct sense is the olfactive sense. So if you're talking about memory, the most direct is the olfactive sense.
So how do we introduce that to the mix of branding? I guess some stores already tried it.
We did a project in 2003, so 19 years ago. We already started a couple of years with the music, and then we were starting with the video. And then one day I came to the office and said, why don't we think also about olfactive solution? And they already had the machines that you plug and they spread some perfume in the air. But it was not what I was meaning. I was finding a way to synchronize music video and olfactive at the same time. And we did it, and we won a lot of prizes around Europe because we developed a screen with in a kiosk, very modern, aluminum, with buttons. You could select the video, and in the video you could smell and listen, and it was an amazing product.
So you were, but how do you remove the previous scent?
Thanks for the question. We developed a system that was absolutely, it was only used for shoes.
Right.
It was a brand of shoes that you could have the kind of plastic that could make the foot breathe, but don't get wet at the same time. Right. So the air could pass between. And we use that material. Going nighttime in the universities, laboratories, nighttime, using all the machines to include in this very small globes of this matter, the scent. So if the scent was stopping and another came, the air was clean because we are not spraying anything, no oils, nothing. It was like fresh air.
That's incredible.
Yeah. but very expensive. It was impossible, and it's still impossible to make an industrial product. Too much expensive.
I mean, that scent when you walk past the store and you go, whew, it's almost like there
That's
is
a spray.
Yeah, it's like a bit overpowering sometimes, like
Sometimes.
a kind of Abercrombie and Fitch where you've got to go in with a
That's the
flashlight
problem.
and
That's the problem.
Yeah. But what we're getting into is something really interesting, which is the sensory reaction to an experience, and ultimately what you're building are experiences that go beyond the physical transaction that is taking place where you're purchasing a luxury item or whatever it might be. How important is that for brands to really pay attention to, and which stick out in your mind as the ones that are leading the way?
Well, I always used to say that we make music for three different heads. So one is the marketing office. So we develop the music for the brand. We develop the music also for the client of the store, for the shopping experience, which for a fashion store, it's about 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, you listen to 8-9 songs. So we have 8-9 songs to create a customer experience that could connect the music to the brand. And the client could think that that they are listening to a piece of the brand through music. You know what I mean? So it's not very easy to transfer this information in 8 songs. So the selection of the music is very, very, very accurate because of this. We just don't put songs like that by the kilo. And also the third head who is listening to the music is the people who work in the stores. 8 hours of exposure to the music in a passive way. They don't select. They must accept it. And there's a big difference in this kind of acceptance of music, because mass market, they feel that the music is made for them to contribute to the work environment. On the other side, employees of a fashion brand, they know that the music is made for the brand. So they don't listen. I go home and I will listen to what I like. When I'm in the store, I'm aware that the music is an expression of the brand. But in a supermarket, no, the music is made for me. I'm working here 8 hours a day. No, this is made for my wellness. And it changed completely because we had a lot of feedbacks on the music from the employees.
The wellness point is crucial in the employee side of things as well. I can't remember who it was who said it to me, but it stuck with me. Before you create a really excellent customer experience, first of all, you have to create a really strong employee experience. Otherwise, how could you expect these employees to do a good job in selling your brand? What kind of role then, just extending that idea about wellness, how can music help us be well, be centered, take us back?
Well, we have a lot of different, I'm not going into psychological aspects of music now, but because I'm not an expert of that. Music, you like it or you don't like it, no, actually. So, but if you work in a modern contemporary, with a contemporary brand, no, let's say Subdueds or, how can I say, another brand for young people, no, you must be aware that the people also who work there is very young. So it's not so hard to make a selection of music because all the listener will be in the same range actually. But there are some places where there is a big difference between the client and the employee. The employee is young and the client is maybe middle age or even more. So balancing this is also wellness of both people is extremely important, no? Because you must transfer the customer experience, create a customer experience, but also on the other side, the people who work in the store must be happy.
The overriding thing here is the customer experience. We were talking about it just before we started here. With the current cost of living crisis and companies being absolutely hammered with their energy bills, is this an area that unfortunately becomes all too easy to cut away at for the company? Because, you know, marketing, brand, all of these things are like the easy ones to just go, okay, we'll worry about that later.
It is a subject today, and especially for video solutions, because if you have video walls, the consumption is not something to neglect. I mean, you must pay a lot of attention to this. I tell you that years ago, we won a tender for a huge client because the difference of electric consumption between our player and a computer was absolutely, there was no game. I mean, it was like 4 watts against 75 watts per hour.
Yeah.
So we paid a lot of attention with music, with our players. But if you have 100 screens, it's impossible. I mean, it's a matter.
Yeah.
It's a matter.
Is it a false economy though, in terms of switching off some of these experience aspects, because ultimately that then isn't bringing the footfall or driving that brand impact that is the whole point of what you're building for these companies and for their customers?
This is something totally new for us. So we're talking about something that started happening a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we have clients investing a lot into screens and LED walls, etc. So right now I don't have an answer of what could be a next scenario about that. Yeah. Music is not this huge problem. Talking about an energy.
Yeah. On the creative side, what's the process that you go through when you've got that brand, you've got the brief, and you're trying to create the content, the music, the sound bed?
The first thing is to meet the right person
in the company.
Yeah, because sometimes we have a meeting with the IT guy who is totally not interested into a creative process. No? Or we have a meeting with a marketing person who is not interested into music. So it's always finding the right person with the right sensibility also to talk about music. We receive the brand Bible, as they call it, or the brand book, and we start analyzing that. We take a couple of weeks of that, and then we come back to the client with the first proposition. Usually it takes a month to become to arrive to a final product, to a final program of music, playlist, or you want to call it. And then our job is to feed this music monthly, but we must pay attention to that, because if we start today with the perfect music for the stores, in 6 months the sound of that selection will be old. Even if I add songs, the overall sound will be old, especially for people who work now. It's all the same old songs. No, we have the demonstration that we are adding and taking down music all the time, but the sound is the same. No? So if I am, it's like listening to a playlist on Spotify of hard rock. After 6 months, even if you are adding new songs, the song will be the same.
Yeah. So seasonality. What about something that's happened recently in for the world, but for us in the UK especially, the death of the Queen.
Yeah.
How do you roll out a update to playlists that might have tunes or a tonality that's incorrect for that moment in time? Do you even think about things like world events?
We think about that.
Yeah,
we think about that, and we faced a lot of different situations from COVID-19 now in Italy, where all the stores, they wanted Italian music to bring people together, sing-along songs. So there was a renaissance of all the Italian songs, for instance. I must say that for this very subject you're talking about, we don't have so many stores in UK. So actually, basically, they shut down the music. So there was no spatial selection. They just shut down the music for a few days. That's what we've done also a few years ago when the owner of a company of our clients died suddenly, and there was no time to find out music for this. We just shut down the music.
Yeah, yeah.
For a few days.
Seasonality, how does that play
Yes,
in?
now we're starting now with Christmas music.
Yeah.
Now.
God, really?
Yeah.
I saw.
No, we're starting selecting.
Oh,
Christmas
okay. I
music.
thought you meant. Oh God, I thought you meant playing it in the stores. I saw some displays of Christmas things that you could buy the other day, and it seems to get earlier and earlier every year. So do you just do like blanket jingle bells type music?
No, because I've opened the door to gospel music, for instance.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paying attention to religious contents, because we are working also in countries where there's a different religion, different approach to Christmas season, and also as MCube we produced almost 100 new Christmas songs. So
New
original.
This is original content.
Original
you
content.
compose.
Yes. We took singers, bands, and noises of Christmas, the jingle bell stuff, and we built up around 100 original songs.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's all about Mariah Carey, George Michael, and all the classics.
Yeah. Which brings me to the point around the copyright. So, I mean, you've got YouTubers that put a sound bed on. You've got AI solutions that can generate a soundtrack to put on your explainer video if you're a company. There's a lot of shortcuts to get around the problem, but are they actually delivering a sonic experience that is actually?
There are shortcuts since maybe 10 years now, but all the propositions are or problematic with quantity of music available or with the quality. So we need a lot of songs to deliver a good service to all different clients and with exclusive contents. So the best way should be to have full access all the time to the catalog, so the majors and without limitations. But copyright is a jungle. There's a jungle out there.
Yeah.
Liberalization in Europe made a chaos. In Italy, it's chaos because today we can have a new collecting company, tomorrow another. No, this song is mine. Oh. No. Then,
how do we simplify that? Because it's certainly something that we've seen as well.
There's a very simple way to simplify this. It's called piracy. We're all pirates. No, there is a way to have licenses, to be fully legal.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, but clients know. And we have a lot of attention to single songs to find out who is the owner of that song in terms of authorship, publishing, and discographic labels.
Well, I guess the other solution is original material.
Original material. But now, finally, there is a new operator. It's based in London, actually. And the name of the company, it's called Rehigo. And they are doing a very good catalog. They have a very good catalog, legal proof. So the legal model is very interesting. For me, the quantity and the quality is very high. They have Quincy Jones as a testimonial,
right? Okay.
For instance.
So yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's saying it's good, I mean, who are we to say no, it's not good?
Yeah.
But all the other solutions that I found on the road, crap.
Yeah.
Crap.
And then I guess it feeds back right to the beginning of authenticity and not cutting corners. Because if this is your brand, your experience, your customers, your employees, as you've touched upon, we need to have something that's authentic and true to what the brand stands for.
Yes, I totally, this is my goal, my purpose, to really deliver an authentic musical proposition. I don't buy the latest Café del Mar compilation. I mean, I could do that, but I listen to every single song with the team. There's a team of 12 people around Europe, no, and listening and finding out. It takes a lot of time to do that, no.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time. Listening to the lyrics. This is another problem, no. That for an English-based country, English language based country, it's quite normal. But if you deliver music in all the world, you never know what is the reaction, not only for explicit lyrics, which is quite easy to find out, but explicit contents. This is not the subject, no? Because there are a lot of explicit contents without explicit lyrics or bad words, no? So you must pay a lot of attention, especially if you deliver music in some countries, no, where the attention is very high.
If you have a brand that's a global brand,
yeah,
something that fits in one territory,
absolutely,
you cannot just paint across.
If you have a global client, you must tell the people, look, I give you this music which is okay for Italy, but I cannot broadcast this music, let's say, in Saudi Arabia, or even sometimes in London. We had troubles. I had a client in London, an Italian client, with English people working in the store, and we couldn't find the songs they were talking about. We couldn't. And it was not explicit, but there was a kind of sexual meaning somewhere. Mm. And it's about sensibility, no?
I didn't know we were so sensitive in the UK.
Maybe only this person. It's amazing. There is a car brand that used in Italian in Italy for a TV spot with family in the car, take a walk on the wild side of Lou Reed. Can you imagine? In prime time.
Wow.
Well, it's a song made 50 years ago, but still the content is not so family related. No? Yeah.
Mike, I can't believe it, but we're pretty much out of time here. Just leave us with, I guess, some insights around, we have a number of companies that follow us, smaller startup companies. If you want to build sound into your experience as a brand, how can you do that as a smaller company without unlimited budget? What are your top tips? And where do you think this is going in the future, technology, content-wise? Is this something that all companies will be thinking about, or is it still something that's, quite limited?
I think that music will be always a part of the retail format, always. This is not a problem. Music will be always in the stores. But I have a lot of requests of making it more liquid, no, without technological equipment. I mean, especially for players, etc. Because people want an app. Everybody wants an app to do that, which is of course a matter of connection, no, and giving the music, putting the music in the hands of the store director, because it could be easily mistaken, no? You could put the wrong music for your brand. So interaction is one subject, but also it's not really possible in terms of marketing, no? And also in terms of copyright. Everybody wants the interaction, but for commercial purposes, interaction is not really possible.
Yeah, not a simple thing to get started with, but I guess if you're an owner of a small store that's hustling, a commercial account on Spotify,
it's not possible.
It's not possible, right?
No.
So how do you do it? What do you do? Where can you go to?
You must use a professional service.
Yeah, it's the only way around it.
Oh, it's the only way.
But a Sonos speaker in the corner of your store or something like that is
legally. All you could have without using a music provider with a license, it could be having maybe a web radio. That's right. The only thing.
Yeah.
And you must have a license for the web radio anyway.
Yeah.
or listening to FM with all the troubles, or having the
but then you've got their
advertising or you have a
curation.
competitor.
Yeah, well, then you've got their curation. Mike, this has been really fascinating. I've loved digging into this with you. Where can people reach you if they're interested in finding out more about MCube, what you can do for them?
I'll be at the pub downstairs until midnight.
I think, what is it? mcubedigital.com is your
Exactly,
site.
that's the website, and we have an office in London and in another cities in Europe. So it's a multinational company, and if people want to have more information about that, it's the website you said, so mcubedigital.com.
Great, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.